This class program again continue with my module 2 of the International Student Orientation. The agenda for module 2 are full-time enrollment, change of program, school transfer, and employment. Full-time enrollment. You must be enrolled full-time at all times, and you must be pursuing either a certificate, a bachelor's, a master's, or a doctoral degree. Full-time enrollment. As this diagram shows, graduate students from all other schools need to be enrolled at least in 6 credit hours per term. That is 2 classes. In some cases, 9 credit hours per semester, which is 16 weeks long. A term is typically 9 weeks long. And then graduate students from the School of Education must be enrolled in either 5 credit hours per term, typically 8 weeks or 9 weeks, or 6 credit hours, or 9 credit hours per semester, which is 16 weeks long. Doctor of Management. In the Doctor of Management program, international students are supposed to be enrolled in 3 credit hours, and that is considered to be full-time. That is 3 credit hours per term, and 1 term is about 9 weeks long. Undergraduate students are supposed to be enrolled in at least 12 credit hours per semester. That is spring and fall. And then the summer is optional. Or they have to be enrolled in 6 credit hours per term and for a total of 12 credit hours. Online courses. Or can international students enroll online? Well, the answer is yes, but they can only take 1 class or 3 credit hours online per term or per semester. If a student is taking overload, that is taking more than the required full-time enrollment, then in that case, the student can take more than 3 credit hours or more than 1 class online. Concurrent enrollment. This is enrollment in 2 different schools, and the combined enrollment in these 2 different schools must add up to a full-time enrollment. In the case of Webster University, student will, in other words, Webster will maintain the student I-20 record, and the student must get permission from their academic advisor and from international services to be able to take classes in another school. Talk about reduced course load. I mentioned that students are supposed to be enrolled full-time at all times. However, reduced course load is the exception to full-time enrollment. This is granted for academic or medical reasons, and it consists of 6 credit hours for undergraduate students or 3 credit hours for graduate students. For medical reasons, 0 enrollment is permitted. That is, student may not take any class based on doctor's recommendation. Reduced course load due to academic difficulties, or RCL, academic difficulties. This is granted once per degree level, bachelor's, master's, or doctorate. Student must resume full-time study at the next available term. The following are RCL acceptable academic difficulties reasons. 1. Initial difficulties with the English language, initial difficulties with reading requirements, unfamiliarity with American teaching methods, and improper course placement. Let's talk about the first two. Initial means in the beginning, in your first semester, or your first time you're experiencing these difficulties. Then you need to come forward and you can get authorized to drop your class and take less than full time. And the last one, improper course placement. This is typically when your advisor places you in a course that you were supposed to do after completing another course. In this case, your academic advisor can say, oh, I gave him or her a course that's supposed to be taken after completing another one. RCL due to illness or medical condition. The student may not exceed, reduced course load may not exceed a total of 12 months. Permission for this is given each term, and documentation is required from a licensed doctor, medical doctor, or doctor of osteopathy, in other words, we call it alternative doctor. In other words, doctor that practice alternative medicine. And finally, licensed clinical psychologist. Cannot come from anybody else, not from a nurse practitioner, not from a nurse. So it has to be written by one of the three. RCL due to completion of study. You may be authorized to reduce course load in your final term if you have less than full time to complete your studies. We will not require you to take more than you need to graduate. Therefore, you may only take whatever is left for you to complete your degree in your final term. This is the process of how you obtain RCL or reduced course load. You and your academic advisor must complete the reduced course load form, which is available online. Please refer to the web address that was provided earlier. Authorization for reduced course load will be issued in the form of a new I-20 and indicated on page 3. And this is the same as well for the J1 student. Please remember, withdrawing from class without approval is considered to be a violation of your status. You must receive all submissions before you can withdraw. Program extension. First, you must be maintaining your status to request program extension. And program extension means if you are not able to complete your studies by the date indicated on your I-20 or DS 2019, then you can request that your program be extended. You need to do this request or submit this request before the I-20 or the DS 2019 has actually expired. If you wait until they have expired, then you are out of status. You must file for reinstatement. You must have compelling academic or medical reason to request program extension. If you are out of status, then you are not eligible to apply for extension. Change of degree level. So this is a change from one degree level to another, or starting a new degree at the same level. For example, you want to start a new sequential or a second master's degree or a second bachelor's degree. We call this change of degree level. These changes must be updated in your student visitor information system or CVIS before you start your new program. You must also submit a new financial document showing that you have sufficient funds to pay for your new degree, and you will receive a new I-20 or a new DS 2019. Let's talk about school transfer. And this is when you want to transfer between schools, either transferring from Webster University to another school or transferring from another school to Webster University. Again, you must be maintaining your status, that is following the rules. And the transfer must be initiated before the end date of your grace period. For F1 students, 60 days before their, after completing their degree or after completing their optional practical training, or 30 days for their J1, after completing their program or completing academic training. During school transfer, you cannot stay in the U.S. unless your classes will begin within 5 months after the transfer or within 5 months of the program completion date, or OPT ended, whichever comes first. Schools transfer continue. Notify international services of your intent to transfer. Complete the transfer out form available on the website. Submit copy of your acceptance letter and any other form from the new school. International services will transfer out your Civil I-20 upon receiving this information. Employment. Employment is the benefit of F1 or J1 students. It is a secondary activity, therefore, you have to perform it as a second activity, not your primary activity of coming to the United States. Again, to work in the United States, you must obtain permission. Only students who are maintaining their status, that is following the rules, are eligible for employment. There are different types of employment options for international students, F1 or J1 visa. On-campus employment, off-campus employment types. There are several off-campus employment types. One is called the Curriculum Practical Training, or CPT. This is available to F1 students only. Optional Practical Training, also available to F1 students only. Academic Training, or AT. This is available to J1 students only. Severe economic hardships. This is available to both F1 and J1 students. Finally, there is the internship with international organizations. This is also available only to F1 students. Let's talk about on-campus employment. This is employment that's done mainly on campus, and the student is actually receiving a paycheck or a paycheck from Webster University, or the check is issued by companies that provide services to students on campus, such as Sodexo, which is the food service, the Repertory Theater of St. Louis, which is based in Webster University location, the bookstore. Again, no formal approval is required to work on campus. However, we advise you to consult us before you start on-campus employment if you're not sure. Now, on-campus employment must be limited to 20 hours a week while school is in session. It can be full-time during break or during vacation, your vacation term. Students cannot work after completion of studies. Once you finish with your studies, please, you must stop working as well. Off-campus employment. Please do not work off-campus without permission from our office or from USCIS, which is United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. Working off campus without permission is illegal. It could lead to your deportation. You must obtain written approval before you can take up any off-campus employment. Please attend our CPT or OPT workshops offered throughout the year, or you can visit our website to read more about CPT and OPT or off-campus severe economic hardship. Or you can contact one of us for more information. But you can visit us during our open office hours to ask for more questions. To be able to work off campus, you must be in F1 status for at least one academic year. One academic year, which means you have to be, if you're undergraduate, you need to be at least enrolled in the spring and in the fall and the spring semester. If you're a graduate student, you need to be enrolled for at least 4 terms before you are eligible for off-campus employment. Now, for severe economic hardship, you need to provide proof of the hardship. And finally, for CPT, it must be taken for credit or as a co-op through the Worker Age Program. Social Security number. What's next after the job offer? Once you get a job, you will need a Social Security number before you can work, or during your work time. You can start working while you are waiting for your Social Security number. Again, you need to be enrolled full time, and you must submit student employment paperwork to the Office of Admissions. This can be done online, or you can do that through our office at the front desk. To request the Social Security, again, you will need a letter from our office to be able to apply for the Social Security number. And to request that letter, you need to go online and fill out the letter request and select Social Security number as your request. You must also wait for at least 10 days if this is your first time entering the United States. You must wait for at least 10 days from the time you enter the United States before you can go and apply for your Social Security number. Please remember, a Social Security number is issued for employment and tax purposes only. It's not an identification. However, you will see a lot of companies that are using them as identification. Therefore, you don't need an SSN or Social Security number to open a bank account, to rent an apartment, and many others. Only students who have valid employment are eligible to apply for SSN. To apply for SSN, you need the following: letter from the Office of Admission, that's from our office, from I-20 or DS 2019 with an active CVS record. You must wait until the DSO at Webster University confirms that you have been registered in CVS before going to the Social Security office. Again, you will need an I-94 arrival departure record. You will also need to share your passport. Please make sure you take the original documents with you. The Social Security Administration will then make photocopy of this document. Do not take photocopy. They will not accept